In honor of 4th of July, gentlemen, I present to you a challenge. If Usain Bolt and Joey Chestnut were to each compete in a race where they had to eat a hot dog and then run 100 meters, who are you betting on and why? Deepak.
Bolt can eat a hot dog and run. Chestnut can eat a hot dog. I don't know if he can run.
Interesting. Jack, thoughts?
I mean, I need to get numbers on exactly how long they would spend, like the ratio of hot dog time to running time, which I don't have the stats on me, but I'm inclined to go for Bolt just off the top of my head. I think the margin for the best runner in the world is wider than the margin for the best hot dog eater in the world.
Bruno, thoughts?
Yeah, I think Chestnut would get a good head start by just finishing his hot dog first. Is
And
rolling
head
allowed?
start to beat Usain Bolt?
It's one hot dog.
Well, here's the question: is rolling allowed?
No, I don't think so.
It's a flat surface. Even
then
if
it's
it
Bolt.
is.
It's
They're
all
not going
Bolt.
down a hill.
Okay, I'm totally taking Chestnut on this one. Usain Bolt can do 100 meters in 9.5 seconds. You guys are absolutely correct about that. But I think Joey Chestnut can probably eat a hot dog in a second and a half.
Okay.
And then I think as long as he is able to get there, before Bolt's half, I think you just got to get 3/4 of the way there before Bolt takes off. You could do that.
We need to find video of Usain Bolt eating a hot dog. That's
really what we need to see. Yeah, we need that math. Well, until we get that, it's still time for Nerd It Here Weekly. Bruno, do the thing.
We're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
This better not awaken anything in me.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
I'm responsible for my own happiness. I can't even be responsible for my own breakfast.
We have Santa Claus. Assemble.
I'm Riley Trahan. Welcome to Nerd It Here Weekly. Guys, did you do anything interesting this weekend? Anybody have any cool, interesting things happen to them over there? I just thought we always start so aggressively. I didn't know if
played
anybody
some video games. I talked to some friends.
Yeah.
Some pretty standard stuff. Why? What did you get up to, Riley?
Oh, I met Arnold Schwarzenegger, governor of Yeah. Okay, so we're kind of going to break format here a little bit. We're still doing the news, but we wanted to talk about this thing, obviously, that was kind of unique for us, and we haven't had the chance to circle up and just sort of talk about it yet. I want to tell you guys the story about this crazy day I had. So, yeah, if you have been on our social media, at Nerd It Here First, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and there's a fourth
Blue Sky.
I'm posting it. No, I think we're on Twitter right now. I'm so tired, guys. Anyway, if you've been on our social media, you may have noticed that there have been videos going up of Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger giving a speech at Mount Vernon during a naturalization ceremony that took place on the 4th of July. We were very lucky, very fortunate to have the opportunity to cover that event. Maybe we're even dropping in some video clips here. I don't know, Bruno, ? Maybe we are. And so I emailed. I am local to Mount Vernon, and I emailed and said, we're a entertainment journalism site that is local to the DC area. We'd be very honored by the opportunity to cover the governor's speech. And they said, yeah, sure, why don't you come? So I got a press pass. I went and rented all the camera equipment. We all set up. I got there and set up my tripod to be able to do it live. I was the first person there by like an hour.
You were pretty excited.
Well, I was also nervous about the traffic of having to drive in towards DC on the 4th of July. Right. Yeah. And I was not sure what the security situation was going to be like around the governor. I'd never done an event like this before.
The security situation is the governor's pythons, I think.
Listen, we'll talk about it. So I didn't really know what to expect. So I was erring on the side of caution. So I got there about an hour early. I got there at the exact same time that the local Fox 5 team arrived. This is, of course, not any sort of nefarious Fox News. It's just the local news guys, and they were there, and so I chatted with them. I met their tech guy, and we talked about the equipment that I had brought and what he had brought, and what he thought of the equipment we were using. And I talked to the on-air guy, and he was like a meteorologist, and he was just like, had been sent to cover this thing on 4th of July, but it was a pretty cool thing to get to do. So they were going up to do some pre-record interviews, and I sat around with my stuff for a little while, right, waiting for the media check-in booth to get all set up. And then once the media check-in booth was set up, I went in. I met some German reporters who were on a 5-year assignment from Germany. Their headquarters, I think, is in Munich, they said. And so they were stationed in DC. So they were there for the Arnold of it all, obviously. As was everyone, right? But, they had a unique take on it, I suppose is what I mean to say. So their camera guy set up his stuff. I was setting up my stuff. He was sort of helping me out. I was very appreciative. I couldn't tell if I was annoying him or not, but I really was very grateful for the help that he provided me. And then we went down to, I got all my camera set up. We were ready to go live. Bruno and Sterling were behind the scenes doing all sorts of stuff to facilitate us going live on social media on all the different platforms at once. So I got all my stuff set up, and then I scampered on down to George Washington's tomb, where Governor Schwarzenegger was going to be laying a wreath, right? So I got down there, and there was this big blue and white wreath that they had sent us these press notes about. According to the press notes, Governor Schwarzenegger had picked these flowers out himself to put into the wreath, and they all had different emotional significance to him, which were explained in the press notes. It was a beautiful wreath, and there was a banner on it. There was kind of a 2-part banner. You can see this on our social if you haven't already. Sort of a 2-part banner. The top part said America's first action hero, and the bottom part said Love Arnold. So I got down there and I saw the wreath and the podium, and a lot of folks were already there. Like, I had been up setting up my camera where the speech was going to be later, and I was surprised by how few people were there. And we got down to the tomb where the stuff, like where he was going to be doing the wreath laying, and that's clearly where everybody was stationed. So I sort of had missed my opportunity to be like well positioned, because they had sort of explained Arnold's going to be over here. The president of the Mount Vernon Society is going to be over here. They'll kind of give a little speech, then they'll take the wreath in together, they'll pose for a photo, and they'll go. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to have the angle on Arnold. I'm going to have the angle on the president of Mount Vernon. But whatever, I'm here late. I'm really here for the other stuff. As an organization, we're very excited about the opportunity that we get to broadcast this thing live. Like, that's our big goal for the day. The monument tomb thing, that's gravy, right? Okay. I've told you all of this to get to this part of the story. This is the good part of the story. Imagine that I am sort of looking at George Washington's tomb as a stage, right? Arnold will be entering stage left. As everybody is sort of jockeying for position, and they come in and they make another announcement about where everybody's going to be standing, and everyone comes to understand where the good angle on Arnold is, and I'm sort of less and less precious about my spot in the rope line because I'm not really worried about this. I just kind of think it'll be cool to be here when he gets here. I become the first guy on the media line, which means when Governor Schwarzenegger arrives 20 minutes late, like a goddamn movie star, he gets out of the golf cart and he says very loudly in his beautiful Austrian voice, "Good morning, everybody." And, like, there are signs everywhere to be quiet, right? Like, this is clearly a deliberate decision that the Mount Vernon people have done so that the journalists won't accost Arnold, right? Like, none of us are going to be brave enough to, like, yell at him, like, "Governor Schwarzenegger, blah, 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 blah," right? But he has been told, it's fine, don't worry about it. So he's doing his thing, and we're kind of just watching. So he's walking up the ramp, and he's saying good morning, like, to the room. We're outside, right? But he's saying it to the room, right? And he sort of continues to say it as he walks up and sees me, Riley Trahan. And now he's looking me square in the eye, and he says again, "Good morning." And I said, "Good morning, Governor." And he says, "It's very good to see you all today." So I met Arnold Schwarzenegger. I will be broaching no disagreement on this. We made eye contact and we said good morning to each other. I'm not saying we were introduced. I'm not saying we're friendly, but I met him.
No, I think that counts.
Yeah.
You can put that on your resume.
So anyway, that's just a personal win for me.
I'm very happy for you.
He was 100% everything you want him to be, right? Like, I had been fully Arnold pilled in preparation for this thing. I was like, I read his book. I was consuming all the podcast appearances I could find of him. I was watching the documentary on Netflix. And I'll be really honest,
Mhm.
I had a moment where I was watching the talking head thing on Netflix, and like I do think he still looks great. Like there is no irony here. I think he looks awesome.
Yeah.
I had a moment watching the documentary where I was like, Arnold, what are we doing with the hair, man? Because I don't know if you guys have seen him recently, but the beard is fully gray and the
Mhm.
eyebrows are fully gray, and he always
Mhm.
has the beard. It's not like the beard's optional, and the hair is
This is
Mhm.
just
brown, right?
it's very dye brown, right? Like it is
Yeah.
very. And I was just like, what are we doing here, man? He walks up that hill out of that golf cart. Arnold looks great. That's all I have to say. Looks great. Looks like a movie star. Looks fantastic. No notes from me. Everything's working. I think he's looking fantastic. He's the coolest guy I've ever seen. He picks up that wreath. He goes and puts it in the thing. He stands there for the pictures. He's giving the big smile. He's looking around. He gives that little speech that we recorded for the social media. It was just 100% everything you want. And like obviously the rest of the day had big, more political consequences, and he had some really great things to say on immigration that were important that we documented on the website. You can see the full speech in high def with really great audio on the website to check out there if you missed any of it. But
What's the website, Riley?
NIHF.com. Thank you. Thanks. Always be plugging. That's one of the things I learned in Arnold's book. Weirdly, it's a self-help book. So like I was like speed reading it to try and just get the Arnold of it, but I was also like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I should make note of that. Yeah. But yeah, I really just wanted to tell the story of being 2 inches away from Arnold Schwarzenegger because it was very cool for me personally.
Well,
Yeah,
we're
no,
very
I
happy for you, and we're glad
That's
you can
awesome.
do it.
wish we were all there. I do kind of wish that rather than saying good morning when he first showed up, he said I'm back or something like that. But
Oh,
we
he
win some, we lose some.
if you go to the Mount Vernon social media, you can see him on the field. I actually had a conversation, they had all these historical reenactment guys there, right? Doing like Revolutionary War stuff. And I was chatting with one of them as I was setting up my camera. And he said that he had been there the night before putting up the tents and stuff. And he turned, like he was finishing putting up his tent, and he turned around and Schwarzenegger was just there practicing his speech. And he was like, I was fully not prepared for that. I bet. But if you go to this was clearly what Schwarzenegger was doing that night. If you go to the Mount Vernon Instagram page, you can see a video where he says, "Hey, it's me, Governor Schwarzenegger. I'm here at Mount Vernon, and tomorrow I'll be back."
Beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep, absolutely, you will be. All right, so anyway, let's get to the news. Guys, does anybody have an actual news story of consequence that you would like to start with us discussing today? What do you guys got? Hit me with something.
I can go first.
Yeah.
So Variety reported earlier this week that Neil Druckmann will be
Mm.
leaving the staff of The Last of Us TV show. He's been effectively the co-creator and co-showrunner with Craig Mazin for seasons 1 and 2, but in his statement, he says that he's leaving at this time because it's the perfect opportunity given that 2 just ended. They're just about to go into real production on 3. And this is a time for him to step back and focus more on Naughty Dog Studios for like its gaming content. There's some space related game they're working on right now, the name of which escapes me. It has like a vaguely Marvel name, but it's not a Marvel project. So yeah, and then I think Haley Gross, is that her name? She's also stepping back. She was one of the writers on the Last of Us season or part 2 game. And so she was also part of season 2's writing staff. She's also dropping back or dropping out. Speculation online from the usuals thinks that it's because Druckmann is not happy with how season 2 went. And a lot of the divisive aspects of it, he probably did not align with. He, of course, directed the penultimate episode of season 2, which is the spoiler alert flashback episode. We get to see Ellie and Joel kind of on her birthday over the years that they live in Jackson, leading up to their sort of big falling out, then of course culminating on that porch scene, which is a great episode. It might be the best episode of that season. But anyway, yeah, that was big news, kind of surprising news. But I think the show will still probably be fine. I feel like Mason is still pretty much the head honcho there.
I have seen. Well, first of all, the game in question is, of course, Steve. I don't know how you forgot this. Called Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. So
Intergalactic. I thought it was Interstellar or something. Yeah.
it's intergalactic.
Multiverse.
Then
No, that's a movie
everything
by Christopher Nolan.
Oh, there's just nothing Marvel that I'm catching that. But anyway.
wrong. Yeah,
I'm
it's just
still
a
seriously.
standard
I don't
name.
know why I thought it had a Marvel-y name. I thought it was like multiversal or something. Yeah.
I mean, I get it. It's a silly name, but I am very
Yeah, I mean,
excited
it
for
does
that
smack
project.
of we're gonna make 18 of these things.
It sounds vaguely galactic stormy,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Rumors, of course, that Last of Us season 3 minutes away any day now. This is all leading up to that. Of course, the planets are aligning. Druckmann leaving to finish up his script, and then we'll get to work any day now. I don't know if I believe that or not. But
Have we talked about the fact that they've announced they're doing 4 seasons?
I mean, this is the thing. Like, what do you need him for? He's done. He's done his business. Keep stretching it out as long as you want.
Bruno,
Keep cutting, get a
physical
check.
pain.
I like this for him though. Like if I'm Neil Druckmann and you tell me I want to take the thing that was originally supposed to be 2 and I promised you it would be 3, now I'm taking it to 4. If I'm him, I'm like, great, you have my address. Keep sending the checks. I'll see you later.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably got something to do with it. I don't know how you get 4. I mean, I don't know the game as well as you guys do, obviously, but I know.
I mean,
I don't know how you get
it
4
ends
seasons out of it.
after part 2, but I don't know. Maybe they'll make more games as long as it keeps printing money. I have no doubt.
They've said they're not going to take the show past the games because they don't want to repeat Game of Thrones mistakes.
But
Well, I
then
think
how
that's
4
fine.
then?
Yeah,
Well, yes, that would then be the question.
Then yeah, exactly. Whatever.
I'm telling you guys, go type Last of Us 3 into Reddit. You'll find any number of geniuses who are convinced it's happening.
Yeah.
So
That's
does this
my
technically
TV
mean
show.
that like
at the pace that they make these seasons, they could probably come out with the 3rd game before they get to the 4th season.
That would speaking of long delayed anguish, let us pivot to our other favorite HBO source materialist, George Martin, who hopped on an interview this week to let everybody know that after 14 years, he is 2/3 of the way through Winds of Winter.
You know what?
He's
I am
working
getting
on
the
it.
tequila. I'll be back.
He's working on it, guys. He's working on it. Jack, I mean, is this like, I know that every time he sticks his head out of his little gopher hole, we try and determine if there's going to be 6 more weeks of Winds of Winter, but like,
Heyo.
do we pay any attention to George Martin at this point, or do we just wait until his publisher announces a release date?
I mean, yeah, I think you're the latter. I have obviously thought a lot about George's writing process, and I don't think numbers that he reports, like percentages, I do not think are worth anything. Like, he goes back and does rewrites often because he has to, and especially for endings, and especially for this ending. Like, there are 2 people whose entire jobs are to keep track of the timeline for this story because he can't. So when that is like a part of your writing process, if you tell me you're 2/3 of the way through, I'm going to ask if it's been approved by your lore authors.
Well, that's the part that I keep going back to.
Are they still on the payroll if he's not publishing anything?
I would assume so.
Isn't it? Well, like, was it Filoni? Somebody used to work at Lucasfilm before Lucas sold. That was just like this, Master of the Hobbit or whatever.
Yeah, it might have been Filoni.
So it's probably like that sort of job, right? You probably have some like day-to-day office administrative.
Yeah, but you're comparing Lucasfilm to a guy who's written 5 2/3 of a book.
No, but I bet that this person's job is all of the shit that Martin has written, right? Like this is the reason why. I mean, not to have to, God, Jesus Christ, not to have to defend George Martin, but the reason that this book hasn't come out yet is because he is busy adapting and writing and expanding countless other worlds and stories.
Yeah, he just had like an adaptation that came out earlier this year from like Paul W.S. Anderson, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, with Batista.
I was supposed to. He was reading that.
At what point does your expansion of the empire? I mean, we're past this point, but it comes at the expense of what birthed the empire in the first place.
Yeah, right. He just doesn't give a shit about the story.
This is like
he got bored of it. He doesn't want to do it. It's fine. He doesn't have to. Nobody's
he wrote this in 1998.
This is literally like if Lucas comes out with Star Wars in '77. It's a huge hit, and Lucas goes, "You know what? Instead of making the sequel, I got this other thing. I'm going to make episodes 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to make these really cool prequels."
What a
And then
ludicrous
we're
idea.
all the way now over here in 2025 being like, "Are you ever going to give us the sequel to the original?"
Did you think Empire was coming? Maybe.
Yeah. Was that something that was going to? Because I've heard all these rumors that you're going to like go to a cloud city and like
Right.
Vader might be Luke's dad, but I
Chapters
mean,
have leaked.
Meanwhile,
all
he's
sort
just
of know
writing
where
a
it's
video
going.
game.
Luke might be Leia's sister. There's teddy bears. Like, are we going to get any of that?
Yeah, and as Jack says, he's just really deep in the Elden Ring lore. Yeah, I don't. Who knows? Who knows if that ever comes out? I don't know.
I mean, he'll die, and then whatever he wrote will come out.
Yeah, and it'll get
The Ghostwriter.
Rothfuss will finish it in 6 months or something. Speaking of things we never seem to stop waiting for, Denis Villeneuve's directing Bond. Where are we on that? Yeah, we're excited.
Unexpected.
Super excited.
Yes, very unexpected. The least likely candidate.
Is he the first non-Brit?
No, the guy who did the last one.
Oh,
the guy who did the last one's the first American. Lee Tamahori is a New Zealander who did Die Another Day.
Yeah.
But I think the rest, yeah.
Oh, right. Fukunaga did No Time to Die. I totally forgot about that. I was so excited about that.
Yeah,
and then the movie came out.
Yeah, and then the movie came out.
I have yet to watch that one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not terrible to watch.
I have a close friend who's
too
currently
long.
going through all of the Bond movies for the first time, and I'm just waiting for him to get to No Time to Die, and then we'll be watching.
What is he on right now?
Well, he's going sort of in backwards order. So he's going through most of the Daniel Craig movies, then he's going to stop before No Time to Die, and then he's going to go Pierce Brosnan and just keep going backwards.
Oh,
what a
interesting.
weirdo.
Okay.
Well, you can yell at him about it, Jackson. You know exactly who it is.
Yeah, I know.
Fascinating. What if I had sort of suggested Maggie wanted to do, not that we're talking about Bond at all now, but Maggie wanted to go back and because I'm doing this Disney book project, so she had suggested rewatching the Disney animated movies.
1 to 48 or whatever they're on.
Well, this was the thing is there had been some discussion of the order. I think she just wants to go linearly, but I think that sounds boring. So
I think that sounds good. You're writing the book.
I mean, no, yes, everybody keeps telling me that it is actually probably useful
but I don't know how you
good
get your
research.
hands on what's the
Song of the South.
Song of the South, and there's the Latino one.
Three Caballeros?
That's the one.
I think that's just on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I think
they don't have a problem.
I think they'll beam you that one for
for
$20 a month.
I think they're happy to let Donald shake his little tush in your living room. Okay, so in accompaniment.
Oh, I thought of a different Donald when you said that.
Well, along with the Denis Villeneuve announcement, we got this absolutely abominable list of potential Bond actors. Amazon Bond wish list on Google.
I guess they want Bond to go to daycare, right?
Well, this is the thing: is they want a Bond that will last them as long as humanly possible, which is how you end up with names like Jacob Elordi, Tom Holland, and Harris Dickerson, all of whom I suppose are technically British men.
Men.
and not bad actors. This has nothing to do with that.
No. I've loved all three of them in some really great stuff. They just do not give Bond. And
Elordi maybe comes closest.
And especially when you look at the Elordi, it does come closest because he is the tallest, and thus we respect him the most.
He's also Australian, but we've had an Australian Bond before.
I do think Dickinson comes a little bit closer to Elordi, but maybe that's just because I've seen him in more stuff that would fit the Bond profile.
Oh.
Yeah, the point is none of us want Tom Holland to be James Bond.
Yeah,
I feel so bad saying it. That's what we're really all saying is
he would be very Roger Moore, and I don't see that jiving, especially with Denis Villeneuve.
Okay. I don't
I want to know how much input Denis Villeneuve has on selecting Bond.
Yeah,
I don't like Deepak comparing Holland to Roger Moore, considering Roger Moore is one of my favorite Bonds.
But, no, I love Roger Moore. I'm just saying I wouldn't have Sam Mendes do a Roger Moore Bond.
No, that makes sense. But I on Tom Holland, I almost feel would he want to do Bond? Because I've been seeing I
think every British boy wants to do Bond. Every
but I've been seeing stories for countless years now about Holland trying to work his way out of Marvel. So why would he do that to get into another?
That's a negotiating tactic. It's that those stories will always crop up when he's coming up on the end of his contract.
Sure. I saw a very interesting piece, I think on CBS with David Cornsweet talking about Superman, right?
Mhm.
And I don't want to quite transition yet, but we'll get to Superman later. We have Superman business to discuss. But Cornsweet talking about Superman was sort of say, like, they asked him in this interview, like, how do you see this sort of like contributing to like where your career can go from here? And he was like, this might be it, baby. Like, depending on how these movies go and like what happens next, like Superman
Yeah.
might be the thing. And like if that's the case, I'm fully prepared for this to be the like I recognize I'm pretty early in my career, but I'm fully prepared for this to be the thing. Like somebody's got to play this role, and if it's me, I'm very happy for that to be the opportunity I get. I think there
Yeah,
is a
that's an
way
awesome attitude to have.
I think there is a way
Absolutely.
you can think about those sorts of characters like that, but like Holland has Spider-Man though, right?
Right.
Like if Holland
Yeah.
wants to be a generationally definitional like IP character, he has that already. I don't know why he would
Right.
want to
So
go be James Bond.
the counter argument is there's an actor we know who these roles were not Spider-Man and Superman when he had them, but the same actor has played Han Solo, Indiana Jones, and Jack Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yes, certainly.
Mm.
He
I
was
don't think
so
Tom Holland
goddamn
is
handsome.
on the level of that actor necessarily.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying
I
he's
was
not.
trying to think of the most polite way of saying that, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Odds checker has, let's go through them real quick. Aaron Taylor
Also,
Johnson.
Cavill was Superman, so
Cavill was
he
Superman.
was always the leading choice, right?
Right.
Idris Elba was Heimdall. Come on, guys.
Aaron Taylor Johnson is at 13-5 right now on odds checker.
I would be
Mhm.
very happy with him.
In descending order of likelihood from there, I would be unhappy with him, but we can have that fight if we get there.
I thought 28 years convinced you.
No,
Well,
28 years convinced me that I want him as a big, beefy brawler boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. 28 years convinced me that he should be a douchebag more often than anything.
Yeah, he should.
else.
No, he should be playing. He should be playing like Henry V, like executing wives and getting drunk. Like that's what I want him. Yeah,
Got it.
Aaron Pierre is next. I'd be very in on.
He
the
would
Aaron
be
Pierre
cool.
pick.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he's also about to be Green Lantern.
He's about to be Green Lantern, so it's the same
Yep.
thing.
Yeah.
Theo James.
Well,
Please.
Green Lantern is on the level.
That's
of
my
Spider-Man.
choice.
Interesting. Speak on that, Bruno.
No, yeah, those. I mean, I've been seeing Theo James in a lot of stuff lately. I think he played the lead role in the Gentleman series by Guy
Mhm.
Ritchie, which is probably the closest we could get to a Bond audition from him, at least out of the work that I've seen. But he's been very impressive a lot lately. He did a dual role earlier this year in The Monkey, playing twin brothers, and like even though they were identical twin brothers, there were a lot of people that I was talking to that didn't realize they were the same actor. So I thought that
wow.
I thought that just speaks to like how his performance was in that. So yeah, I think Theo James would be a great choice.
Bruno, thanks for
Handsome
reminding me
enough.
Thanks for reminding me to add The Monkey to my list of 2025 movies where one actor plays
Movies where one actor plays two people.
two guys. Yeah.
It's a weirdly
Mickey
prolific
17
genre.
and what else?
Sinners, and then that De
Yes.
Niro one.
And Alto Nights.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's a weird thing we're doing this year.
There's 4 of them now. I'm sure there's going to be one more at least.
Digital doubling must have got really cheap 3 years ago.
Superman's gonna have
Oh yeah.
Whoa,
If David Corrin said
I
turns out to
think
be
so,
Ultraman.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you're probably right. If Superman ends up being our 5th, that will be a very exciting end to that.
And we'll see how multiverse
Hold on.
Fantastic Four gets.
Also that.
Let's go straight to Superman, but let me just finish saying the names of guys who might be James Bond in 2 years. Jack Loudon, Scott Rose Marsh, James Norton, Jacob Elordi, Harris Dickerson, Tom Holland, those all sort of in that same grouping of like 7-2 odds.
Were you still going into
bottom of the top
order?
10.
Yeah,
that's in order. Yeah, those are basically.
And that's where those 3 are.
Those 3 guys are all above
because
Henry
Amazon's
Cavill.
thing is not. Amazon's preference is not based on fit for the role.
Yeah.
It's based on like SEO.
And that list came straight from Amazon. So that's why their odds have boosted. Because as much as everybody would love to see somebody like Damson Idris or Nikolai Coster-Waldau, there's no actual like
Damson Idris would be interesting.
Yeah, well, since F1, that's when people have been getting really excited.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I think he's going to Marvel though, but we'll see.
Oh, T'Challa.
Okay. Let us now, if we're all so horny to discuss superheroes, let's talk about Superman. So we got a little bit of review
Is it a
drama.
Superman movie?
We got a little bit of review drama this week. I want to plug that not only is there a new Superman movie, but we will be back in this very feed reviewing the Superman movie before it is in theaters. So come back this Wednesday for our review of Superman with a release date of this Friday. So we will be here later this week, me, Deepak, and Jackson, talking about Superman. We will have a section of no spoiler talk to just kind of give our general thoughts, Superman universe stuff, how this kind of contributes to what we think the public's image of Superman is, etc., etc. Then we will get more into it. I also suspect, and this will kind of be a live thing, but and this relates to the news story we're about to get to. If it's a stinker, we might be a little more up for talking about stuff in front of that spoiler bubble than if it's actually good. If it's a real genuine great time that we think you should go see, we'll probably keep all that stuff behind the spoiler just to keep you safe. If it's a stinker, maybe we have some fun beforehand. And I wouldn't even.
I'll watch the non-spoiler section just to gauge how you guys are doing.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Yeah, just check in on our mental health, Bruno.
We have one fan.
I wouldn't even be wanting to say what if it's a stinker, except that somebody at the Hollywood Reporter was eager to get to their holiday weekend, and somehow in the old content management system, July 8th at 3 p.m. turned into July 3rd at 8 p.m. And all of a sudden, somebody's Superman review was up 5 days before it was supposed to be. And that's how we came to learn that the film critic for the Hollywood Reporter did not care for James Gunn's Superman, said that it was the death nail in the superhero era. And we all got on Discord and probably spent about 12 hours going, uh-oh, guys, this seems rough. And really weighing how much we should give one critic's opinion and all that. We suddenly became very skeptical of a system that we tend to prop up pretty vehemently. And then, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, Mike Ryan took to Twitter to break
Blue Sky. Yeah,
it was Blue Sky to break some level of social media.
Definitely a contract got broken.
Mm-hmm. He didn't say anything. I think specifically he wasn't allowed to say, but everybody sort of knew what was happening. I don't have the.
Well, he just said that he felt the opposite of what that review said.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't say the word Superman, right? Which is sort of, I think, where he's saying.
He said, and I quote, "I'm going to get in trouble for this, but that leaked review, good God, I couldn't disagree more."
There we go.
Yeah. And then there was a follow-up post, something to the effect.
Seems I'm already in enough trouble. But whatever mystery movie it is, it's the happiest I've walked out of a movie since Top Gun Maverick. An insane pull, but whatever. Again, I will not reveal the movie I'm talking about.
Yeah. And before the review got leaked, there was I've been watching a couple of different content creators on YouTube and stuff who are usually surrounding the superhero genre that again, because of the review embargo, they couldn't give their exact thoughts. But they always did the same thing where they were I'm going to emote towards the camera how I felt. And it's always been positive, what I've been seeing. It's just been
by the way, the studios want that.
Yeah, right. There is some of this that is just is building hype, right? And that is sort of why I am skeptical, if not surprised that
isn't this one tracking sort of low? Didn't we talk about that? Sorry to cut you off.
No, I was just saying that's I if I was DC, I would want Ryan to be out there being
right.
What do you mean by tracking low?
Yeah, Deepak, you explain tracking. I'll pull up the numbers.
So they sort of project ahead of time, 4 weeks out, 2 weeks out, 1 week out, what they think it's going to do opening weekend. And this one, I think it was maybe a week ago, so we'll call it the 2 week out tracking. It was 175. Is that what you said?
I think that sounds about right. I'm pulling it up now.
I don't know if we determined if that was domestic or not.
Yeah.
Superman. Does the Prime early screening get factored into opening weekend numbers?
Yeah. Actually, I don't think it does. I think it's only Thursday night through Sunday.
Oh, see, that's what I was going to say. Previews count, but you're right. I don't know if that's just.
So that's why for example, watch what they do with the numbers on Jurassic this week, because they will give you if it's a low opening weekend, they'll give you the Wednesday through Sunday and try to pass that off as the weekend count. But then
they
you'll look
super early for Jurassic World.
Yeah, but then if you look at strictly Thursday night through Sunday, which is the traditional opening weekend, I have a feeling it's not going to be very high.
So Superman is on a budget of $225 million, just for anybody who's interested in that context.
And doesn't look it.
Box office tracking and forecasts have Superman at 154 to 175, which
Domestic.
would be the
Okay.
2025's best opening,
Right.
and potentially a huge opening
Superman?
for just DC in general.
Wasn't there a movie that got 180 on its
Superman and
opening?
Man of Steel have the exact same budget.
Well, this is a sort of do they actually is an interesting
Well,
question, right?
sure.
Because this sort of zone of
They
film
have the
budget,
same number written down, which
Yeah,
I
but
just
Yeah,
think
and
is
they'll
coincidentally.
have stamped 225, but how much have they actually spent on it?
this
Right.
is just like the number that is socially acceptable for Hollywood to say we spent on
Just
a
to
movie.
rush it out the door.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
needed to grind the VFX people a little
Yeah.
bit more with a few million here and there. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like if you say more than that, like the trades will really like blast you. Like if you, I can't imagine how I mean, we've seen your Mission Impossibles and your F1s have these massive budgets, but they sort of get away with it with things like they paid everybody over the whole course of the strike, right? So they're sort of
Mhm.
able to like pad that. No, they don't pull out the papers saying like, and here's how much it costs and whatever. But yes, I will be very interested when the day comes that a movie is just openly allowed to say we spent $300 million on this, because it totally happens right now. But just like
Right.
Hollywood, just like is not allowed to
They
say
won't
that.
admit it.
I just
So
find it to be very funny.
slightly a bit of a tangent here, but it is related. Forbes will sometimes do a deep dive at the end of the year. What's the most successful, or what's the most, what's the biggest flop of the year? What was the highest generating profit of the year? Forbes does it, Deadline does it. Forbes a couple years ago did one on the Jurassic movies, the last two sequels, so Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, because they did really well despite it's hard to find someone who actually likes those movies.
Right.
Fallen Kingdom, especially after Forbes did the digging around to find out like what rebates they applied for and what they got back and all that, costs like almost $500 million. And Dominion is something very similar. So two movies alone cost about $1 billion. So sometimes you will see the true number if there's someone willing to go and dig into the paperwork and the numbers and find it. And
Mhm.
sometimes when you find out these things, you don't understand why things happen the way they happen.
Yeah.
But 225 for the Superman movie sounds ludicrous because I don't know. I'm hoping it's good. I think it's going to be a good movie. I think it's going to be like a fine whatever movie. It looks very cheap.
Well, a lot of the effects shots that they have put in the trailer were not finished.
Yeah.
Effects are one thing, but I just think the color timing, the framing.
This
I
is
think
your Snyder
it looks
love.
very no. Whatever. You don't have to look like a Snyder movie to look like a movie. This looks like it's made for Netflix.
Interesting. I will be curious to see what it looks like on the big screen. I think I like the color.
And I did see a Dolby Vision trailer in the theater.
I have definitely noticed that like the coloring seems to be the most divisive element for a lot
I
of
like
people
the
on this
colors.
movie. I very much like the color. I think it's exactly what I've been looking for. It's funny because like this morning I was seeing like comparisons about a remastered SpongeBob episode between like 20 years ago and today. And here's the thing: 20 years ago is better because the colors are more vibrant.
Yeah.
Just want everybody to
The computer stuff is not. I'll tell you one thing. They are doing with this movie what Disney did with Force Awakens, where they wanted so badly to distance it from the prequels
Right.
that they just
That's my
it was
feeling as well.
look at us, we're shooting on film, we're shooting in practical locations,
Right.
we're going into this area and doing this. Very much they don't want it to be the Snyderverse, and I get that. But I think there was a way to do it without looking the way it looks now. But I'll reserve judgment. It's
I
like 4 days away.
found a box
It looks
office.
like it was shot on 35 millimeters, and I kind of love it.
The new one, was it? I don't think Gunn shoots
No,
film anymore.
I don't think it was shot, but it looks like it was shot.
I don't think it looks like it. Sorry.
I found a box office analyst saying that if Superman opens somewhere between Guardians 3, which opened to 118, and Batman, which opened to 134.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So that should be like the range they were sort of saying that Superman should be aiming for. So be interesting.
It looks like it'll overshoot that then.
Yeah.
154 to 175. Yeah.
Speaking of companies spending way too much on stuff, Jackson, would you like to talk?
Yeah.
Go for it.
So, sorry, which one are you pivoting for me to do?
Oh, I guess I thought that was a Microsoft opportunity, but you can.
Okay,
you
that's
haven't
fine.
really talked about anything. You have so much.
Microsoft's been paying way too much for its employees, so
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, well, yeah, I do have some stuff to talk about, but we can get the bummer out of the way first. Um, so just a few weeks ago, Microsoft did announce that they are laying off about 9,000 workers in light of uh, their $80 billion investment into ChatGPT, which is a little bit of a kick in the in the dick. But to make matters worse, the executive producer at Xbox put out a message to explain or to try to soften the blow a little bit and to help give some advice to these people who are now newly searching for jobs. And here's what they said. And I quote,
Automation is not coming for your job.
quote, "These are really challenging times, and if you're navigating a layoff or even quietly preparing for one, you're not alone, and you don't have to go through it alone. No AI tool is a replacement for your voice or your lived experience, but at a time when mental energy is scarce, these tools can help you get unstuck faster, calmer, and with more clarity. I know these types of tools engender strong feelings in people, but I'd be remiss in not trying to offer the best advice I can during these circumstances. I've been experimenting with ways to use large language model AI tools to help reduce the emotional and cognitive load that comes with job loss."
This speech
Yeah,
was
he's
written
been looking
using
into that because he
ChatGPT.
expects a lot more job loss. That's why.
Mrs.
Yeah.
Thorne, we're so sorry about the loss of your husband. Can we please offer you this casserole made entirely of Soylent and Green?
Did you know Soylent Green is people?
Pretty abysmally, like, I don't know. The optics are obviously bad for, I hope, reasons I don't have to explain.
Explain it to him.
He offered a few ideas, like prompts that you could use, like AI as a what was one? I'm struggling with imposter syndrome after being laid off. Can you help reframe this experience in a way that reminds
They're
me what I'm
literally
good at?
farming layoffs for like test data.
Yeah.
Yeah, in like tools that they have active investments in. So it's pretty cool.
Do you mind
Don't
just
forget to
going
keep
into
using
our
our
AI
product,
tool and
despite the
typing a
fact that we're
bunch of
not paying
prompts
you
that I'm
anymore.
telling you to type just to see what it gives you? Because that would be really helpful to us. Also, your
Listen,
medical stops at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And
there
today's the
is
Obviously,
29th.
this also comes in to bring Xbox into it a little bit, with Xbox having just cannibalizing every studio that makes any remotely successful like small project and then closing them
Sweet
down when they
fucking
don't sell a
Jesus.
billion copies.
Yeah.
So is this because Xbox is trying to recapture some semblance of the original or console exclusive space?
I don't think so. If anything, reports say the opposite, that Xbox is going to be moving away
So
from
it's just catch and
exclusivity a
kill?
lot more.
Well, but so this is an interesting issue of grammar that I feel like you guys have stumbled onto because of where each of you is in your gaming experience. I do think that having more games exclusive to the Xbox library was appealing. Those games will more
Right.
and more often be able to be played without the use of an Xbox machine.
Yeah.
Indeed.
They're
So
moving
is
more
that
into like PC gaming.
Or like
so
play it on
Microsoft
your
is moving
TV.
away from console?
Or on Switch. Like, they gave an announcement very recently that an Xbox studio that made the Halo remasters and something else gave a
Master
statement
Chief.
that they think porting any of their games to Switch 2 would be very easy.
Oh, and that would be like a full port. You wouldn't play it through like your Xbox app on your Switch.
Correct.
So is
Like
Microsoft
Microsoft
phasing
developing
out?
games for other platforms.
That's wild.
Oh, that's the business model.
Yeah.
I was wondering where they were going with this because I was listening to something else that said they're buying up all these studios because they want to get back into console exclusives, the kind of stuff they had when Xbox first launched, Halo, Gears of War, whatever. They don't have that anymore.
There's a lot of
But
questions about what their actual
licensing
plan
makes
is,
sense.
because there was a rumor for a while that they were going to get out of the hardware space entirely, but then they gave this trailer that felt sort of like they were trying to address that without mentioning it directly,
Right.
by like talking about how they're committed to their partnership with AMD and that they have all of these plans for their next system.
Yeah, there's one more console coming, and then after that they're done because they're too far down the road on the development of the next one, so they're going to just go all the way with it.
Yeah.
I think that's not unlikely. But anyway, so that's obviously terrible. I don't know. My deepest condolences to anyone who has been affected by these layoffs. They become more and more common, it feels like.
Yeah, that's not funny. Sorry, we're not laughing at that.
No,
No, you're fine.
we're laughing at Jack ending this story with, anyways, fucking sucks.
Well, we try to
World's
keep
a
it light,
piece of
but
shit.
It's like that moment in Top Gun. Oh no. Anyway,
Top Gear.
Yeah, what
Top
you got?
Gear, yes.
alrighty, and we're back. Moving on to cheerier topics. There's been a initiative by consumers in the gaming space, particularly in the EU and the UK, called Stop Killing Games that I wanted to talk about. Have you guys heard anything about this?
No. I had heard absolutely nothing about this story, and I want to know
I
what
didn't
people
realize
can.
killing games was such an epidemic. Please
Well,
tell
you're
us
gonna
more.
love.
Well, it
Yeah.
kind of is.
Well,
So have you guys heard about the game Anthem? It was announced a couple of years ago. It's an
I've
Xbox.
heard of
It's
the
an Xbox game.
healthcare insurance provider.
I
No,
played
not the healthcare
Anthem.
insurance provider.
I
I
played Anthem
was
with Fred.
Yeah.
It was one of those games that like I was specifically waiting for like a price drop to pick it up, and then that price drop never came
yeah.
for reasons you're about to point out.
Well, I have terrible news because Anthem will no longer be playable as of January 2026. Anthem is an online game, so it needs to connect to EA's servers in order for you to play it, and those servers cost money to keep up, and Anthem was kind of never very successful as a game, so I guess those servers cost too much to keep up now. So if you, like Bruno, were waiting to play Anthem, you have a very strong time limit until you can do so.
No worries. I'm not gonna do
Or, since this is a pretty common problem, a lot of games will also have fan-kept servers that you can connect to that will allow you to keep playing. Like Nintendo's dropped the servers for their Nintendo Wii, but a lot of those games still have very active communities that utilize fan servers that are not strictly legal. So the petition is sort of to address this epidemic. They are trying to make it illegal for companies to sell you a product, a video game that has no expiration date or implied limit to your usage, but then cutting off your support to actually use it at any time. Obviously, consumers hate this, and I think it's a good initiative in general. And it's gotten over 1 million signatures, which is way more than most people expected.
It is a bummer, right? When any online game server switches off,
Right.
and the sort of rampant insistence by gaming companies that every game have some sort of 24/7 live play, massively multi online aspect to it, whether that's leaving notes in Elden Ring for other characters to find or passing in and out of Destiny matches. Like this is reaping the whirlwind on it, right? Like this is not too far afield from the same problem Disney's dealing with Marvel, where like they're pumping all these money into these movies that fewer and fewer people want to see. Like it is expensive to prop up an Anthem style game when that's an online game with this huge other experience nobody asked for. Like if Anthem was just like a first person shooter
Right.
that they had sold for $50 and walked away from, this wouldn't be a story. But it's like this insistence that we have, it is the consequence of the monoculture, right? Where we have to strap all this stuff onto everything, where it's like, well, now not only is it less interesting, but also it's less viable as a business case for you. Hopefully this is like growing pains and we're getting through this and we'll see less and less of this shit in the future is my hope.
Does this feel like some companies trying to force the growth that should be organic? Like release the game, let it develop a following, let it develop the fan base, and then you go, hey, we've got this, hey, we've got this, rather than trying to drop it all at release, at launch.
Yeah, that's definitely a part of it.
Right.
It's easier to develop that way. And live service games like Fortnite.
It's easier
Fortnite
to
is...
develop with the big bang rather than the phased approach?
No, I think the phased approach would be easier because you don't, there's less upfront development costs there. You can get it out the door faster and then prop up the development costs with it's the same reason people do early access games even still.
And the key there is really just like on the note of specifically early access, is just being upfront with your fan base that like that is what you're doing. and like not trying to promise like a fully complete game on day one when it's not going.
Isn't it? I mean, the fans should know by now that whatever day you're giving up
They
front.
should know by now, but not
Yeah.
everyone is as smart as us, Deepak.
There's also like a, just if you look at historically, like Grand Theft Auto, for example, right? Like GTA 5 was a very successful game, and then they put out GTA Online, right? Like there are models of this, I think, working well, that like if you want this to be the goal of your game, you can have that be the goal. But the fact that it is like just the out of the box only version of the game that exists, we've speculated about this in the past on this show. Like Elden Ring is a really, really great game, sort of on the level of like works of art that deserve a level of preservation.
Right.
Once those servers turn off, what does that preservation look like? Is just kind of an interesting question.
YouTube walkthroughs or playthroughs.
That's one option. Speaking of every game feeling like it needs to have these modes.
Hey, Jack, great clunky transition. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Wow.
The last story that I had for today was we got a leak from Battlefield. This will be the 6th Battlefield, apparently, that it's going to feature a battle royale mode in the style of Fortnite or other of these popular live service games, which is kind of the opposite of what Battlefield's are like about, right? It's supposed to be a game about being a soldier in the middle of like realistically depicted war where you can die at any moment.
That's the part of it that gets it for me, is like if you look at the sort of like the linear arc of these games, the more these battle royale games have become popular, the more the design aesthetic has tended towards really ridiculous animatics. That's why Fortnite is able to slot in like Hank Hill and Sabrina Carpenter, right? Because it makes the whole experience more insane. The notion of playing a like photorealistic like World War game where I'm just trying to mow down 100 people, like that just feels like cognitively.
How is that any different from Call of Duty doing the zombie thing?
The zombies are zombies. They're not just like other like on my team soldiers. I'm
realistically depicted soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very strange choice that does feel tonally deaf to why a lot of Battlefield fans like this series in particular.
Because they like shooting Nazis.
Right.
Well, and you bring up the Hank Hill of it all.
Yeah.
Which is funny because if this is the model that they're going in, you would imagine they have to sell cosmetics and other like what am I looking for? Content just throughout like the live service of the thing to keep profits up.
Yeah,
and what are they going to do about that?
And stuff
well,
like that.
Right.
PUBG has been successful, right?
That is true. Well, sure.
And well, yes, but then on the note of PUBG, like it's already around. Like,
yeah, right. Again, that's
why do we need another? Why do we need another PUBG?
Yes, but yeah, let's do the whole thing. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
That is the name of the game.
Is a game that's been around since 2017 and is like the way other extreme of this. Deepak, did you see the Gran Torino movie where they talked
PUBG is, I think, older than Fortnite.
You mean Gran Turismo? No, I didn't see it.
PUBG is like the Gran Turismo of shooting games, where it's like you play it on your keyboard, and like every key on your keyboard like controls the guy to a different angle in a different way, and you've got to like
it's like super realistic simulator.
Yeah,
high fidelity.
It's a very high fidelity Battlefield simulator.
Okay,
and so you sort of have like that and Fortnite became very popular at the same time, where Fortnite was like sort of the one vibe of like I'm just here to have silly fun, and PUBG was
and
like,
do the Carlton and not get sued about it.
Yeah, and PUBG was like I'm going to deconstruct you. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't know that this is where Battlefield.
And there's all sorts of other toxic sounding rumors that came out of this leak. Like EA is apparently hoping that the next Battlefield will bring 100 million players, which is absolutely insane. And that they're over budget and behind schedule, and so it just sounds like a mess.
They announced all this?
No, this all got leaked.
Oh.
I mean, I play Battlefield, but like even if I do end up getting Battlefield 6, I'm not going to be doing this Battle Royale stuff.
I mean,
hopefully, one would imagine that it's not the only mode that the game offers.
But if it ends up being the only mode that it offers, then I'm definitely not getting the game.
I just downloaded the new Call of Duty Black Ops, and
Yes.
it's like the same thing, right? Like you download it, and it's like, hey, here's every Call of Duty game, and also here's the lobby for our live service, and also here's like the storefront where you can buy
Right.
upgrades to your. And I'm like, I just want
I
to
just
be
want a
able to
menu.
play the boy. Yeah.
Right.
All right,
Yeah.
Deepak, you want to take us through some of your stuff before we get out of here today?
Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot else. A couple of quick things to get through. One is that we saw the release of the poster and trailer for Project Hail Mary. This is the adaptation of the book by Andy Weir, who wrote The Martian, which got turned into a very good movie. This one's directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller of 21 and 22 Jump Street fame. They're not the directors of, but sort of the creative minds behind the Spider-Verse movies, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. And it stars Ryan Gosling. I think it also stars Sandra Hüller, I
Yes.
believe.
Mhm.
So yeah, a lot of big names behind this. There was a little bit of a brouhaha this week when the trailer dropped because there was a sense that it gave away too much of the plot. Apparently, there's a big twist. I don't know what it is. I haven't watched it. But there was a little bit of pushback from people who were more familiar with the source material, saying that the trailer doesn't actually spoil as much as you might think. Bruno, I think you have
I
read
was
the
going to say,
book.
I wish we had somebody on the show that was familiar with the source material.
Like as far as the source material goes, it covers like at most I'd say half of the book, which I think is perfectly fine for a trailer. Like the
Really? You think
only
half the movie's enough for a trailer? Is good enough for a trailer?
no, I mean half the book. I'm saying they don't. I don't think they cover like they definitely have a couple of like the twists in the book itself. In the trailer itself, but they
Yeah.
don't have like the biggest things. I
Okay.
think they have exactly everything that you would need in a trailer because, especially like the one twist, and I'm not gonna like touch on what the twist is just because
I'm
spoilers
gonna
and stuff.
take my
But
earbuds out.
the one twist that they do cover in the trailer that like some of the people who read the book is complaining about saying that's too much. It's one of those things that you need to add in there specifically for the audience so that they know what they're going into.
So
Because
that's what I had also read. Yeah.
if they go into the movie and they see this and they weren't expecting this, it's possible that they just straight up walk out of the movie or that they have a completely different opinion from what
Oh
they were going
wow.
into.
Okay.
It's something
That's
that like
interesting.
it will play into like the cinema score grade a
Oh, I
lot.
can't wait to watch this blind. This is gonna be fun.
I'm with you. I'm there've been some interesting trailers lately though, right? Like I didn't feel like the Mission Impossible Final Reckoning trailer gave a ton away. I felt like that was pretty like
There wasn't anything to give away. It's 2 action scenes
well,
with 2 hours of nonsense in the middle.
the 28 years later trailer I thought was pretty
that.
sneaky about anything that was in
You
there.
didn't think that gave too I thought that was a little long. I thought that gave away a little bit.
Have
It
you
didn't
seen
give
it?
a shit. It did not give
I haven't
shit
seen the
away.
movie, no.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
all right,
man,
okay.
this fucking you have no idea what that movie's about, bud.
I think I'm pretty
Okay.
sure like the 28 years trailer is like only stuff within the first 30 minutes, and
Are
the
you
other two can
joking?
correct.
Maybe.
The other two can correct me if
Maybe.
I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's like
But-
two
Oh.
scenes. It's
It
like
felt
two
like
scenes.
a lot. Okay, wow.
Yeah. So yeah, and so
Check
and
out
then
that
Holy
movie
shit.
though. It's good.
Oh
check
man,
it
I
out.
might go
Watch
see that.
28
I might
years
go see
later.
that this week after Superman, then.
Our
I'm looking
Please
forward
review
do.
for that.
Please do.
Our review episode up now. Check it out.
I actually
Yeah.
need to re-rank that because I've rewatched Sinners and now I like 28 years more than Sinners.
Oh, Sinners on
Damn.
Max, by the way, as of today.
Yeah. God,
Yes,
what a
Sinners
good
is on
movie.
Max as of
What a
2 days
good,
ago.
Good movie. Did anybody watch Ironheart?
Nope.
No.
I was
No?
like,
I
oh,
did.
I'm gonna have time, and then it was
I
over.
But
needed vindication and I got vindication, so I watched all of
Yeah.
Ironheart.
Good. Good. I'm glad. Bruno, talk to us about Ironheart because I'm with you, Jack. I was also like, I'm down to watch Ironheart, and then I heard 6 episodes dropped in 2 3-episode clusters, and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna blink and it's gonna be over. I'll just
It's
get to
been-
it when I get to it.
I
It's
watched
been a
some
shitty
movies
ass
like that.
past couple of Wednesday mornings for me.
Yeah.
Well, what's up with it? What's your general high level, no spoiler review of Ironheart, Bruno?
Okay, so like really,
Obviously, we'll talk about the big thing, but just give us a
overall I did enjoy the show. I give it like a very generous 7 out of 10. And when I say very generous, it's because my one gripe with the show is that they made the protagonist the least interesting part of the whole show. All of the surrounding side characters are far better. Her whole family is like far more entertaining. But like what the two big takeaways from the show is that apparently they're and like this is where I get into like a little bit of spoilers. Is we start getting into like a bit of an expansion into Obadiah Stane's family from way back in Iron Man 1. you know,
Tony
box of
Stark was
scraps.
able to make this in a cage with a
Indeed.
box of scraps. While
Yeah,
I'm
that guy.
interrupting, Deepak, just so you have context, Bruno saying he gave it a 7 out of 10. That's about a 2.8 out of 4. Just wanted
Thank
to
you.
make sure
Thank
that
you.
you
Thank
were
you for
Thank
that.
you.
I know the 7 out of 10 is actually a 3 out of 4, but anyway.
Well, no, 3 out of 4 is 7.5. Deepak, come on.
No,
Yeah,
he's got a weird scale. There's a conversion rate. It's not a
There's a
straight 1 to 1.
conversion
You've
rate.
got
Not
to go
linear.
through
I'm never
yeah.
gonna
Don't fight the
understand the
system,
attack
Bruno.
rating
You're not going to win.
I'm never gonna understand the Chitness Egbert rating
Yeah.
system. Anyways, but I do think overall it was a really great movie. The big takeaways that I was mentioning already, we had Obadiah Stane's son, Ezekiel Stane, played by Alden Ehrenreich. I apologize if
Han
I
Solo.
fuck
No,
up
that's pretty
that
good.
last
Yeah,
name.
formerly Han Solo.
Yeah, formerly Han Solo. We will definitely be seeing him going forward as a seems like just a morally ambiguous villain, maybe anti-hero. We're not too sure on that part. The biggest takeaway from this movie is that something that we've been talking about since WandaVision came out is Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto.
There we go.
The stand-in for Satan, as you could say in Marvel Comics. They never explicitly say whether a heaven and hell exists, but when it comes to like hell, pretty much Mephisto is always taking credit for that, and anything Satan, he's taking credit for that. And
He's
it's
also Nightcrawler's dad.
in some cases,
No,
in some
that's
cases,
Azazel, I thought.
it's usually Azazel.
Oh, Azazel. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Azazel.
Damn, we'll talk about redskin prejudice, Riley.
Yeah, I know.
Unbelievable.
All my blue guys I've got, but my red guys, you can tell. Yeah.
But he is just as you guys would expect from any character like trying to take place of the devil. He is just a man constantly going around collecting souls by creating these weird deals with like people who are just desperate for wealth or power or what have you. In the
We thought he was going to pop up in Spider-Man No Way Home because
exactly,
we thought that he was going to be masquerading as Dr. Stephen Strange, and that was kind of even when you watch that movie, there sort of is like a vibe, like maybe
Right.
that was a cut at one point.
This all I would like to point out. This all started with like a fellow YouTuber of ours in New Rockstars, Eric Voss, who like when they first saw Sacha Baron Cohen reported as being part of the MCU, he was the one who said, "Oh, it's going to be Mephisto," and then everyone just went off to the races saying that that's what it was, and we've been stuck here for 5 years. And there was this character in Ironheart known as the Hood, who has magically powered bullets. He can bend bullets as well as turn invisible, as well as teleportation. It was theorized for 5 episodes in the show that he was an agent of some dark entity. At some point, they theorized that it could be Dormammu, which is his patron in the comics.
Right.
But it ended up being revealed as Mephisto. Mephisto actually did a very, very good roast of Dormammu when people asked if he was Dormammu. I'm blanking now on what the exact line was, but it's Sacha Baron Cohen. We're doing great. He's definitely going to be going. I'm definitely seeing him showing up in future projects. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being a villain or sort of like
a major
villain-esque character when it comes to Brand New Day.
Yeah,
and maybe giving because in the comics he was who gave Spider-Man the spell that wiped everyone's memory. I'm starting to wonder if maybe he's going to be using the MCU to reverse that.
Give him back.
Thank you, Riley.
Something like that. Yep.
But it'll be a deal that Spider-Man has to make with him. I think he's my theory is that Mephisto is going to be the next Thanos / Doom. The next post-Doom phase of the multiverse or the MCU will be sort of a magic phase, magic saga, where we focus on supernatural sort of stories and we build up to that.
That's a really good point that I also forgot to mention. His introduction in the Ironheart finale is almost an exact parallel to the introduction of Jonathan Majors Kang in the season finale of Loki.
That's really funny. I could see him playing a big part in Marvel TV, which we hear as being more and more separated away from the MCU. Initially, the Mephisto thing, and I think you outlined it well, Bruno, felt like it was going to be like central to the multiverse saga, right? We were getting it like at the beginning when we did WandaVision, a billion years ago. And like it felt like it was going to be really important to the multiverse of madness, and that we knew Mephisto's role in Spider-Man, and so that sort of like We were wondering about that with that Spider-Man movie, with Doctor Strange being in, like all these things, sort of opportunities for Mephisto to have shown up. Now we're here at the end of this phase. I don't see where there's space for Mephisto. The future is supposed to be X-Men. Feige seems very insistent on X-Men, and Iger seems very insistent on stripped down, clean, less stuff, more signal, less noise. So
Quality over quantity.
I'd be
I
excited
think-
for it. I just don't know where it goes.
Well, I think when it comes to that, it's yes, they're going to be touching on a lot more X-Men, but X-Men, and a lot of people don't realize this, X-Men in general touches a lot more on the magic of Marvel than the science of Marvel.
Oh, sure. That's a great, yeah.
As well as the cosmic as well. So I think there's a lot of good through lines there for Mephisto to show up. Not to mention, they're also working on a Midnight Suns project, and I don't think that
Supposedly.
that would cause Marvel to be too cluttered. If they had X-Men on like one side and then Midnight Suns on another side, which could even be like something more geared towards adults, I think we have a really good path to go.
If Midnight Suns has Spider-Man in it, it can't be geared towards adults. They need to sell the toys.
Well, I don't think it would have Spider-Man in it, except when it comes to like crossover events or anything like that.
You don't think Midnight Suns would have Spider-Man?
I don't think in like an official Midnight Suns title, I don't think it would have Spider-Man, especially because I don't think they would have Tom Holland
Punisher,
showing up in there.
Daredevil, Moon Knight, Elektra.
Mm-hmm. Who are your sons? Everybody, who are your sons?
Whoever I just listed in Blade.
I defer to you. I don't feel like I'd know well enough.
I mean,
Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, Wolverine,
Punisher,
Ghost
Blade.
Rider. Yeah,
Ghost Rider.
Maybe Moon
Daredevil.
Knight. That's a group. I just did a whole there's a whole ass group that doesn't have Spider-Man in it. Any of those guys.
And with that, like that's a good roundtable question.
All the Dark Brooders.
Yeah, you're grumpy.
Exactly. Boys. Like that's the whole point of Midnight Suns in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But on that, like Mephisto's here. One of the biggest characters in the comics that Mephisto is connected to, as Riley already pointed out, is Ghost Rider. So I just wanted to go around the room and ask who you guys want to play Ghost Rider in the MCU.
Well, I would have said Anthony Ramos.
Oh, as Robbie Reyes, that would be great.
But he got scrapped in this Ironheart TV show playing the Hood for 3 episodes.
I think he'll be back. That's another note. Also, Anthony Ramos' best performance to date, maybe aside from Hamilton, as the Hood. Did
you see that Transformers movie he did? That was good too. He rocked it.
I like that. I like that.
He did. But I do think I rank his performance as the Hood a little bit higher than that. Well, I'm not sure if I'd rank the whole show higher than Transformers. But Anthony Ramos is great. The way the show ended, we will be seeing him going forward. But yeah, who do you guys want to be?
All right, yeah, let's get some. Okay,
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, well, Nicolas Cage obviously would be amazing. I would love if they brought him back for like the Doom saga or whatever it is. I am not co-signing Norman Reedus, but I'm seeing a lot of internet love for Norman Reedus because he rides.
Listen, I've been playing Death Stranding. You don't need to convince me.
Me too.
I like the guy from is it Sklenar? Is that his name? He's in the Blake Lively movie where she gets abused. Sklenar. That's his name.
Yeah, I'm on the 1912. Brandon
Sklenar.
Yeah. He seems like he's the right age and career profile right now that he could be in line for something like that.
If we're taking Yellowstone boys, I will throw Luke Grimes on the pile.
Yeah. Okay. He looks younger than he really is. I feel like he's probably in his mid-40s already.
Oh yeah.
Does Charlie Hunnam have an IP?
Charlie Hunnam could work.
He has King Arthur Legend of the Sword.
I don't think that's going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't.
Are you sure?
I'm not
Are you sure?
Going to be an Arthur 2 in his future.
Are you
He was in the first Pacific Rim.
Yeah. Okay. So he's available, is what you guys are saying.
Yeah. For my answer, I'm definitely cheating here a little bit just because I've read comics and I know shit. I'm gonna say John Bernthal.
Well, okay.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
Sure,
yeah.
Great. I would love to do cosmic
Punisher.
Death Punisher as well.
Yeah,
but all right, for our final story before we get out of here, shall we just talk a little bit about the fact that we got a first trailer for Christopher Nolan's Homer's The Odyssey coming to theaters next year?
Yeah, June 2026, I believe. Yeah.
absolute dorks online, upset about the fact that the tagline of the film is "Defy the Gods," despite the fact that the message of the movie is this is a bad idea and it's
Don't do that. They'll
inadvisable to.
fuck your life over for 20 years.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I think generally positive reactions, right?
Yeah.
Are we excited?
Yeah. Riley, your whole thing is
Absolutely.
blank check, and when someone wins an Oscar, they get to do whatever they want. So this is Nolan's blank check
This
movie.
is blank checky as hell, man.
Yeah.
The notion that he's just going to go out in
Entirely
the
on
middle of
IMAX
the
is
water.
crazy.
He's like, he's
And-
finally climbed the mountain. What do you want to do, sir? What more is there to conquer? There are no more worlds left to conquer. Give me Homer.
Yeah.
I am very excited. You know, I even think watching a little bit of that trailer where Barenthal is doing like the sort of, you know, I was very much reminded of reading Homer in school and being so bored and like
Right.
just feel like being able to like even now recite to you like what the Odyssey's about and being like, and then the son's back at the house with the suitors, but like seeing that on screen the way he was doing it and like the way Barenthal was like committed to that notion of like who here does not have a story about Odysseus, like all of that, I just was like I was bought in. I was like hell yeah, this is gonna rule. I can't wait. So
You know what? You know what scene I'm not looking forward to is the dog scene. I don't know if you guys remember from the book.
Oh, okay.
there's so
That's
much stuff like that though where I'm like
it's gonna suck.
how do you thread these needles? I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I'm
Well,
curious
you got
to
to
see
make
how
sure it's still
faithful he'll
watchable
stay
by
to it.
English students in
Yeah.
high school.
From the
When-
trailer we saw, we really only got confirmation of who Tom Holland is playing, as well as who Matt Damon is playing, but we already knew that one.
Right.
And then
It's the father and son, right?
yeah. And then we had the voiceovers from John Bernthal as well as I think Robert Pattinson at a point, but yeah, we still don't know who either of them are playing.
I am very keen to see it, and I do agree with you, Jackson. I think there should be actually a special award. Maybe this can be a future project for Nerded Here First, but there should be some sort of award given out to a filmmaker who makes a book accurate film that is also enjoyable for the kids who don't want to read. So I'm
The
hoping that
kids
this,
should still read, by the way.
well,
Yeah.
okay.
Who's to say?
Yeah, I'm just saying if you don't want to read the Odyssey, I hope Christopher Nolan delivers for the kids that don't want to read the Odyssey. They don't get caught up by like not knowing about the Cyclops because they only watched the
No,
movie.
I hope I'm glad he's making it so it drives more people to order the Odyssey and read it beforehand.
I love this. I love Defect going out for the classics. Absolutely, why not? All right. Before we get out of here, we are going to hit you with some pop culture recommendations. These are things we have been watching, reading, eating, playing, or listening to that we've enjoyed lately, and we think you'll like too. And why don't we start with Bruno?
Great. As you guys know, I'm just always going to the comic book stores, and this week, ahead of 4th of July, they decided to do a relaunch of Captain America. So this is a new Captain America #1. The name of this arc is called Our Secret Wars, and it's very interesting.
Doesn't sound very secret.
It's very interesting. It covers it. It is like a very like I would almost say hard reboot on Captain America in that it takes place when he's waking up from being unfrozen after like the World War II and after all the time has passed, and in a bit of a change of pace from what we usually see, where he wakes up and then he's recruited either by Shield or the Avengers. In this story, he goes straight back to the armed forces and is just continuing to serve the military in like their secret missions. And on the other hand, we also get parallels in the first issue at least with a new Captain America who is rising through the ranks like in modern times, and it's a little boy who it starts with him as a little boy witnessing 9/11, and that is what prompts him to join. That is what prompts him to join the military and be like this a really strong parallel to Captain America's upbringing of just being sort of like this weaker than usual, like physically, but mentally and emotionally stronger than everybody. And I think I think we're running through some really good parallels. I think it's going at only one issue in. I'm very excited to see where it's going to go, especially when these two Captain Americas meet because they haven't met yet. I think that will be a next issue kind of deal. The biggest thing that I want to point out about it is that again, this came out around the 4th of July, and it is a Captain America comic written by Canadian Chip Zdarsky, drawn by Italian Chechi, and sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. And in the words of my close friend Justin, that is American as fuck. So go pick up Captain America, #1.
Jackson?
Yeah, I mentioned already, but I've been playing Death Stranding 2. It's very fun. It's still a very weird game, and I'm excited to see where it's going. I don't think I'm far enough in to have a solid opinion yet, but if you know about the first one, you'll probably like the second from what I've seen so far.
Deepak?
I got nothing. I've been busy. I've been moving. I'm still working my way through Galactic Storm. So
Good.
Still
Good.
that.
Any new characters, mysteries that you need to solve?
No, that was the only. I'm shocked. I still can't believe that was her. We were all off.
And for me, I've got not only a pop culture recommendation, but also an aspiration for us, maybe, because one of my favorite podcasts, the Doughboys, put out. I received in the mail this week this premium format, Doughboys the comic book issue #1, subtitled "Mitch and Weiger Chew America: Crisis on Infinite Girths." But here you are. It's a whole comic book of their. It's basically a comic book about them.
Don't take it out of the feel.
Well, I've already read it, Jack. I don't mean to spoil it, but it's a whole comic involving them making their podcast, and you can see here they are in their recording studio making their podcast, and then of course terrible things befall them, and they become the suspect of law enforcement. So it's 6 issues. This is #1. I'm looking forward to all 6. I have them all pre-ordered already. And so I'm getting them in the mail in this fun box that says
Yep.
Doughboys Kids Club on it. So I like that. Doughboys Kids Club for
Excellent.
Adults is my pop culture recommendation for the week.
Mhm.
This has been Nerded Here Weekly. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to Wiki Rascals for our logo and artwork. Thank you to Purple Planet for our music. Thank you to Bruno Meneses for producing the show. Thank you to Sterling Haynes for our social media support. Thank you to you for listening. We want to remind you that if you like this, you can get more of it on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@NerdItHereFirst. You can also get us on the socials at Nerd It Here First on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and YouTube. Oh, the last one's YouTube. And if you want to just say forget all that and just get it straight from the horse's mouth, you can head over to nihf.com, type in your email address. It all goes to the inbox, and you never have to remember any of that stuff I just said ever again. We will be back here later in the week with our review of James Gunn's Superman.
So long in the coming.
And of course, we'll be back later on next week to do the news again. We also want to start plugging now that at the end of this month, you are going to be getting our live episode where we are going to be doing a Fantastic Four review on July 24th, live at 10 p.m. Eastern. You can join us if you're available. If not, it'll be there whenever you get to it. But we're going to be talking Fantastic Four. We'll be fresh out the theater. Most of us will be all in one location for health and safety purposes. Bruno can't be in the same room as all the rest of us when we talk about Fantastic Four. It's really just so he doesn't. He refers to it as flame on. I don't quite know what that means, but I've been told that for my safety.
Gonorrhea.
Until next
Great.
time.
Thanks for making me sound like a bubble boy, guys.
Until next time, don't forget to tune in next week to hear